need dramatic cinematic, bitches.
Check us out, dramaticcinematic.com. Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a special edition of the Traumatic Cinematic Show. I am your host, like always, Mugumbo. And with me tonight, folks, is the wonderful, the beautiful Alexis Iacono. Yes, did I get it right? Did I nail it?
You nailed it.
Well, thank goodness for the little things in life, right?
Yes.
I try. It's so easy to mess someone's name up. I've got a last name, Kogel, but the way it's spelled, nobody ever gets my last name right. So I do try to take a little bit of time to try to get it correct with other people. But how are you doing tonight, Alexis?
I'm great. I feel really, really good. It's been an interesting, I guess, year so far, but taking day to day. But as of right now, I'm feeling really good.
Well, and I'm curious. I would imagine you've got to be kind of excited. You have a big movie coming out, hitting the stores, hitting the Redbox, hitting Best Buy, Walmart, probably I'm sure Amazon and many other retail outlets. But you are the Black Dahlia in the new film, The Black Dahlia Haunting. I
am. It's been a very interesting ride, Lewis. We did this film about a year ago, a little over now, and we did it for fun. Devaney and I met on the set of the Penny Dreadful picture show, which we'll talk about briefly. And we hit it off beautifully. We were trailer mates, and she was like, I want to work with you again. And I said, great. So, you hear that a lot. Not that I was, knocking her or anything, but, you hear that a lot in the industry. Oh, I want to work with you. Well, she kept her word because I had to fly to LA in February of last year. And she was like, we got something for you. Brandon Slagle and I, we have something for you, and it's The Black Dahlia Haunting. It's a very low independent horror psychological film. Britt Griffith from Ghost Hunters is going to be in it. He's on board, and we want you to play the Black Dahlia Haunting, the Black Dahlia in The Black Dahlia Haunting. And I'm like, okay. But what Devaney didn't know was that my mother has books of Dahlia. She went through a huge phase of Dahlia, and I knew a lot about her. So it was very interesting how it came full circle. So anyway, we did this film. It was a wonderful experience, low independent feature. Dev is like, and Brandon was like, well, we'll have fun. We'll see where it goes. And one thing led to another, and one film festival wanted it. Another film festival wanted it. Horror Hound, Days of the Dead, Los Angeles, and so forth, and all these film festivals sort of caught wind, and we made wonderful friends and work friendships out of it, and it just sort of, in its own way, kind of exploded. And the next thing we know, we have distribution with Origin releasing, and the rest is history. We're going to be in Redbox as of October 15th.
It's funny that you just said that. You just said a phrase that I was getting ready to make a comment about.
Really?
You said that you're about to hit Redbox, and that is a sign of the times. It's going to be at Walmart. It's going to be on Amazon. It's going to be at Best Buy. But that doesn't matter, right? Yeah, it's going to be on the shelf. It's going to be in Redbox, and that means that every Joe Schmo, anybody out there, these people are going to have a chance to see you in your film and everybody else's film that's in this that would not pick it up at Best Buy or Walmart necessarily and pay to buy it. Not that it's not worth owning. I will absolutely be picking this up and adding it to my collection. But they will actually get to experience this in a different way. It's not like Blockbuster anymore, where you go to Blockbuster, you rent a film, and if you don't take it back, if you're 2 or 3 days late, they fine you $50, $60, to charge you for the film that only costs $14.99 in the store. And that's why they are no longer in business. Right. Redbox is such an amazing little toy in these stores, and it is, I think it's really changing the way film is. And just like you just said, it's going to be in the Redbox. And that means that you might not realize it, but you've already had those thoughts. That you can go check out my movie for $1.
Right.
That's me. You're on the cover of this film, aren't you?
Yes.
That is you with the Joker grin. Actually, the Joker grin is not the correct terminology of it. What is the actual name of the The slice from ear to ear, or
yeah, it's the name is a little hard for me to swallow, so to speak, because it's weird how we all got connected to Dahlia in some way. But it is called the Glasgow Smile, and the reason why I say it's hard for me to say is because I had a few years ago a West Highland White Terrier, and we named her Glasgow. So it's weird. If you get to interview Devaney Pinn or Britt or any of them, we have all these weird connective stories that lead to Dahlia. And one of it is, we use the term Glasgow Smile, and unfortunately, I get to think of my dog every time I hear the name. But it is called the Glasgow Smile.
There's actually some famous people in Hollywood that have had that actually done to them. The guy and I cannot remember his name without looking it up at the moment. He's in Sons of Anarchy. He's the Irish guy in Sons of Anarchy, and he's got the scars, and that's what that is. And when he was younger, somebody had done that to him. Tina Fey has had the Glasgow Smile. She's got the scar on the left side of her, from her mouth, on the left side of her mouth and chin, up halfway up her cheek, only on one side, has had that done to her. I know that's weird. I know it's a really weird fun fact. I didn't even research that. Like, it just came to mind as you were saying that, and it's like, like who does that happen to? Like, I couldn't even imagine. Talk about a horrible mugging.
Well, I can give you a creepy fact.
Sure. I love creepy facts.
Well, it's a little creepy and weird because it actually almost happened to me. When we did the scene of my murder scene in the film, we actually shot it in an actual S&M joint, and Cleve Hall was there, and Devaney and Brandon, everyone were all setting up, and my makeup artist, not my makeup artist, excuse me, our makeup artist, the amazing Adrian Marcato, who did the Glasgow Smile and everything, was there on set, and there was a S&M gal there, and she was supposed to be briefing us on knife play, because the whole scene was really this, slicing of my face, and so forth. So she walks in, and she's a sadist who was in the Navy that actually knows how to cut. And of course, because we were in an S&M joint, people unfortunately like that sort of thing to happen to them. I was there. I walked into a few of the rooms, and there were gadgets there and things that were very unsettling.
Especially if you're not into that.
Means. I'm not one of those squeamish gals or anything with sex or anything like that. I'm pretty cool and down.
Yeah, you were born in Brooklyn,
but there was some.
You're a New York girl.
There was some really horrific stuff there. So have that said, I was there. I was about to do my scene. We were about to get briefed, and the sadist walks in, and she says, "All right, who do I have to cut?" And I turn around. And Devaney Pinn's like, well, we're teaching the actors, and she's like, wait a minute, so I'm really not cutting her?
No, the insurance company will freak out. I guess actually being low budget,
I kid you not, I'm not being dramatic. Devaney was there. And like I said, I'm not a squeamish person. I don't get scared often. It takes a lot for me. I think I like to call myself a pretty tough gal with certain situations. It worked in my favor for the scene because I was absolutely nauseous. I was sick. The reality hit, and I actually, for those few minutes when it settled in, not to get all actory on you, but I actually channeled Dahlia for that minute because I actually understood for that second what she went through.
The fear.
Because it almost happened. Like, she really thought she was cutting my face.
And she was totally okay with that. Like,
she was actually disappointed that she wasn't.
Well, yeah, she, like, what? This isn't what was explained to me. That is terrifying. And there's lots of crazy things out there, ladies and gentlemen, folks at home. This is we do a lot of horror film, and we discuss some pretty sadistic and traumatic things. It kind of goes along with the name of the show, but it's all fictional. We don't look for snuff film. We're and if it did fall in my lap, I would have no interest in it. I have seen films that I won't mention on that are popular, well-known films that I don't even mention the names of on the show, because I don't want people to seek them out, because they actually affected me in a very negative way, even though they were wonderfully done and definitely invoked an emotion out of me. But I don't want anybody else to go through that, because it was a horrible, terrible emotion. And yeah, gosh, that I'm actually looking forward to seeing that scene, because now that you say that, like, as an actress, that is that gave you that emotion to channel that fear that you had when you realized that this bitch is serious. She gonna fucking cut me. I ain't all about that. Like that. That's kind of scary. Thank goodness that because I'm the type of person like, oh yeah, you're supposed to cut me, and it could have been too late. She could have already put the knife in my mouth and cut it. Before I can even say I was joking.
Right.
Well,
it was weird because usually my reaction, because I am a guinea from New York. I do have a mouth when it needs to be heard, and I realized I knew, like, it was like reality set in, because I actually didn't have a voice. Like I stared at her, and in some weird way, I was very vulnerable. I didn't fight back. I kind of looked at Devaney like, you need to help me out here, because I have no idea what's going on.
She walked in the room with dominance, whether she had to say it or not.
She walked into the room with a big knife. Well,
then that, like I said, that was the knife's name, dominance. Yep. That's the bigger the knife, the more there is.
Yep. But anyway, happy ending.
Yeah, and I got to explain real quick for folks at home that don't know, and really, if you don't know what the Black Dahlia murder was. It happened in 1947. January 15th is when they had found our Elizabeth Short. Correct. That is the character you played in the film. But they had found her, and she was not just murdered; she was cut from the waist down, severed, and completely drained of all blood. Her organs tucked back into her nicely, and presented in a, like, literally posed in a way, right? And I don't mean to be spoiling the film. This is history, and that's part of what makes this a very interesting story, because there has never been an answer. It's kind of like the America's Jack the Ripper. I can't say it can't be America's BTK. It was kind of Jack the Ripper, except for they found that motherfucker. Yeah. Not excuse my French, but I mean that was one bad dude. Hopefully they've killed him in prison. He deserves it, I'm sure. But this is I mean, for the time period, that just, like, that kind of stuff didn't happen. And in 1947, the forensic science and stuff didn't exist back then like what we have now, especially with how everyone's half a forensic scientist. We've all seen CSI. Therefore, we all think we know what a crime scene is, and, DNA evidence, blah, 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 blah. Well, the big deal about this was the media, like, literally ran all over everything and destroyed all the evidence or the crime scene. They held information from the police and the authorities, and made it very difficult, actually impossible, for them to ever solve this.
Well, it's funny that we're talking about this, because they feel that they're this famous doctor, this dentist by the name of Stephen Hodel did it. And I was recently interviewed Twin Talks Radio by Dave Schrader, and he had me on to discuss Dahlia, and who was on right after that was Fauna Hodel. And just to clear something up, the Black Dahlia Haunting is not based on Stephen Hodel. We don't cover or touch upon anything. We're not pointing any fingers. This is a psychological horror film, and I'm in the flashback scenes. Just so people will know, like, when they do get to see it in Redbox or Walmart or wherever, I don't want them to think that this is based on Stephen Hodel or based fully on Dahlia. It's a haunting, and it cuts back to present day. Devaney plays Holly, and her brother, who is played by Noah Dahl, murders the family, and we're trying to figure out why. And Dahlia possesses, the brother and so forth, and so it's a possession, it's a haunting, and but my character and how she dies is actually truth. And Brandon made that as real as possible. He likes to make flawed movies, and I say that a lot because a lot of these people, especially when they do Dahlia films, they make it pretty, excuse me, and they don't show the realistic murder behind it. Whereas this film, whether you like horror or paranormal, because there's room for both. If you like paranormal, you're gonna love Britt Griffith from Ghost Hunters, and there's that paranormal edge to it. And then for those people that like horror, you're gonna like the last middle half of the film where I come in as the flashback scenes, especially the end where you see me get murdered.
Well, I guess we all know that happens. I just say, don't ruin it. The people haven't seen it yet, but
right. If
you don't die, then it's really kind of
a mystery. People do know it is the Black Dahlia Haunting, but just so you know, they have a question there. There is that Stephen Hodel, they feel has did murder Dahlia. Going back to the true story behind it, his son was a LAPD detective, and he came across his father's books when he passed, and he believes there's a whole book called the Black Dahlia Avenger, and they believe even his own son, and even Fauna, who I've become friends with. She's a wonderful woman, and she, she might be, Stephen's daughter and also granddaughter. So do the math.
Ooh, I'm old grandpa.
It's a very, very interesting life that the Hodels have led, especially Fauna. She has a new book out, and I'm sorry I'm not plugging her book correctly, but it's a brand new book, and it's on Kindle and all, and the bookstores, and it's about her life. So people will get to know the truth behind her and her backstory with her mother, Tamar. But anyway, so yeah, it's a very, very interesting story, the Dahlia and Hodel and the murders and his sex parties he had, and and all that. With John Huston, the famous director, used to party up there. And if for all of you people that know movie cinema, John Huston did Chinatown. And I don't know if you saw the movie Chinatown, but I wound up seeing it recently, and it is loosely, I feel it's loosely based on Hodel. And if people didn't see it, you'll get to see and you'll understand the ending of the film. Which is much revealed. So that's all I'm going to say. But back to the Black Dahlia Haunting, that has nothing to do with Hodel. So, this is a haunting. It's a fun film, and hopefully people will get to enjoy it.
It's a fun film of murder and intrigue and haunting and possession. And folks, and just to spell it out again, this is not a documentary. This is not a recreation of what happened. This is a retelling. It's using the original story and sticking to the history of the Black Dahlia, and then putting it into a modern day twist with the Black Dahlia, with your character coming back and possessing, haunting, and running amok, basically amongst probably pretty teen or pretty 20-somethings and or whatnot, ruining their lives. Hopefully,
correct.
And which is fun, which is exactly why I watch horror movies, why I love horror movies. Now, and not to blow off that Black Dahlia haunting, you, madam, you are. Would you consider yourself a classically trained artist or actress? Would you consider yourself that you are from the theater, correct?
I am. I'd like to I call myself a New York theater actress. I was. My blood is theater, even though I embrace and love film. Yes, I am a classically trained actor. I studied for several years at Sandy Shurin. She was a wonderful teacher, and people may not know the name, but everyone from Rent, the Broadway show, came out of that school, and I know a bunch of those peeps, and I saw them we all used to do scene study classes together, and it's very exciting to see friends and colleagues succeed. There's nothing more for me rewarding than to see friends do well in this industry. It pains me when I hear friends, quit or settle.
It's a tough business.
I'm sorry?
It's a tough business.
It's a tough business,
There's a saying.
It's not show art, it's show business.
There's a quote, and I don't know who. I can't give the proper tagline, or I can't give the props to the person that said it originally. But as an actor and actress, I've always heard that if you're not currently working on a project, you're unemployed.
That's right. And there's always that's really scary dry spell, but I have to say, because of the theater background, I've always been a working actor, even if the pay was shit or not getting paid at all. That's the difference. And I'm not knocking LA. There are LA actors that are working every day as well. I'm not comparing. I'm not saying. I'm just talking about my life. Since I'm,
right.
talking about it.
Well, absolutely.
My background was and is I've always been a working actor. Not everyone knows Alexis Iacono. Not everyone knows my name. But at the end of the day, Louis, I'm very blessed to say that I'm an actor. I'm a working actor. Ever since a little girl, I started in theater. I portrayed the screaming, Fay Ray, the original screaming woman of King Kong. I had the opportunity to play her as a young girl, and I wound up meeting her, and I wound up being friends with her to the day she died. She introduced me to old Hollywood before they all perished and passed.
Back when Hollywood still had some creativity. That's
right, exactly. And I was touched by that at a very young age. I wound up because I love John Cassavetes at the age of 8 and 9, and seeing his movies and loving Rosemary's Baby. I wound up spotting him on a plane while we were flying. My family and I were flying abroad to London. And I spotted him. It wasn't my mom. It wasn't my dad. It was me. I noticed him. And I wound up talking and meeting John Cassavetes at a young age. What does that mean? I don't know. Am I supposed to be in this industry because of it? I don't know. I've always been surrounded by it. It has always come to me. And, of course, it works both ways. I also, want to find good work and want to introduce myself to good people and meet friends and people that I want to work with and be friends with and have a long-standing relationship with in this industry. It works both ways, but at the end of the day, I am a classically trained working actor. I am.
Oh, that's right. I did ask a question. I forgot.
Yes.
I got lost in your thought in your words. I do that
yes.
Because you when people start talking, and I just go on the journey with you, and then I don't even care if you answer the question I asked.
Oh no, sorry. I ramble.
Oh no problem at all. I'm saying that you were talking, or whatever you were saying was plenty good enough. And so, good. Well, and I say that because I just recently interviewed Robert Englund, not to pat myself on the back, but that was something he mentioned numerous times, was that he was a classically trained actor. And I never really put much thought into it, but because I've been a big fan of his work for, forever. And he's right. He plays different characters. He's a character actor, but he has this ability. For an American, he speaks the Queen's English as an American. He's very articulate, and when he acts, he's able, and I'm not an actor. I have never taken any acting classes. I've never acted. I was never in any stage shows. I've never did plays or anything in school, but I've always loved. I went to all the stage shows in school. I went to multiple college theatrical performances. I've seen, many different plays and things like that. Not like I would if I was in New York, but as far as, what's available locally. And I get that. And even when you take that sort of experience and put it into a horror movie, it becomes more than just a genre movie. It really kind of elevates it. And that's why I was interested in, because once I started reading about how much theatrical work he had done, I was like, oh wow, she's she's not just a Hollywood actress. She's the real deal. Your IMDb page might, it says you've got 17 credits, and you're still young. You're like 19 or 20, right? And I know that you never say a woman's age, so like always just I round it up, and so your career is really beginning because theatrical performances and things like that don't show up on IMDb, and it's what a great start you have. And I'm very interested in just like the journey, because it has to be a tough journey. And like I said a little bit ago, that if you're not working on a project, you're unemployed. But as with the theater work that you've done, then you might not be in a movie, filming a movie, but you might be working on a stage show.
That's right.
And like you said, maybe you aren't getting paid, but at least you're not going crazy at home, chewing your fingernails off, pulling your hair out, freaking out that, where am I going to get a job? You keep doing all these auditions and nobody's casting you. At least if you're working on a stage show, you've got something to divert your attention until something better comes along. And don't let me talk too much, because you are what people are coming here to hear. And folks, if you happen to recognize her voice, those video gamers at home, those of you that are big into the MMO online kind of things, I found this was kind of interesting, especially that it shows up on IMDb. But you are the voice of apparently a pretty popular goblin on World of Warcraft, of all things.
Yes, I am.
One of the most addictive games ever created. It's like literally heroin, digital heroin.
Well, it's caused marriages and divorces.
And suicides and probably people murders and all sorts of things. I've never played, thank goodness. I used to be a video gamer, but I was an Xbox gamer, so I was more of a so you are to be honest with you, I gave up drinking the hard stuff and video games for podcasting.
Well, I have not given up the hard stuff drinking. I still drink that, and I also play video games.
Well, it's pretty hard if you drink a bottle of Crown and play video games all night. It's hard to do an interview.
No,
so I'm
definitely a tomboy. I like a good cold beer, and I like to shut off my cell phone, and I like my first-person shooter games. I need 2 hours to just be by myself and play, and I'm a very, very happy girl.
Well, there's a certain amount of stress relief in a first-person shooter. There really is. Especially, I was a Halo guy. There was nothing that made me happier than running and throwing a sticky grenade in someone's face and watching them blow up. The most gratifying thing you could do, especially when you knew that they could see it.
Right.
And I was horrible too, because for the Halo, one of the things about Halo that was so cool or Halo 3 was that when you killed somebody, you had a split second that they could still see around them. So that's where teabagging became so popular, right? Well, my screen name was I Touched Your Mommy. And so, like, I'd throw a sticky grenade or whatever and kill him, and then I would teabag him and go, I touched your mommy. I know it's horrible, but that was like my banter. That was my like rage inducer in my video game days, but that's neither here nor there. So
see, I treat my video games the way that men treat their porn. Like
you hide it and try to make sure nobody sees it, and you try to make it like 3 minutes, quick, in and out, fast.
It's such a dirty little secret. Like, I draw the blinds. I like I said, I shut off my phone. I
light
don't
some candles.
Spark
up an incense.
Really, it's a whole ritual, and like when it's done, it's like.
You got a bead of sweat running down your temple. You're breathing heavy. You're like, oh man, I need a cigarette.
I feel a little dirty at the end, but I kind of like it.
You got that regret. You're like, oh gosh, I hope God wasn't watching.
I got it out of my system. So for a little bit, and then back to square one.
Yeah, and then like, I will never mention this again.
No, and it's funny because I have friends that know, and I have a friend of mine, Emily. And she'll after 2 hours, she'll text me or call me, and I'll hear silence on the other end. She's like, "You were playing your video games, weren't you?
You were doing the dirty, weren't you?"
And I'm
you were doing it again, weren't you?
Yeah. What about it? And she's like, "'Cause I know."
Because I know that's great. That's good stuff right there. I don't care who you are. That's good stuff. So, as an actress, what is what? From what I can tell, and I don't know you that well. I mean, yes, I've been stalking you on Facebook. When I say stalking, I've just been your friend, and I do watch your posts. I don't have you marked as to where I see every single one of your posts,
right.
But I am looking through your window, so I can see you typing them. Ha ha.
And I can see you too, just so you know.
Oh, ooh, that's creepy. You don't invade my privacy. Stop it. And
it works both ways, babe.
I just watch you play video games. It's like, oh, that's so hot. Look at her. She just threw the controller. That's awesome. She threw it at the TV. Thank goodness it's a tube television. It would have been ruined. Like you have a tube. Who has a tube television? The video gamers that broke their big screen from throwing their controller through it. You aren't. Do you? Besides this and the Penny Dreadful picture show, the Black Dahlia Haunting, the Penny Dreadful picture show, you aren't really you're not really a scream queen.
No,
you're not really immersed in the horror genre.
No, it fell into my lap because of certain films like I'll try to cut this short. Prescott Place. I was in a short film called Prescott Place. It's a 1940s short film noir, black and white. I play Jane Prescott, a fallen star that becomes a recluse, confides in her baby doll that looks like her. I also play the baby doll. And it's very Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Asian filmmaker, female filmmaker, Pei-Ling Kuo directed me. Long story short, that film wound up going to Cannes Film Festival Short Corner. And because it was a thriller, I wound up reaching out to Fangoria magazine. People were like saying, this film should be seen and reviewed and blah, blah, blah. So I reached out to Chris Alexander. And after months and months of using the word lightly, stalking him, I would email him saying, please review the film. I don't care if you hate it, love it. Just, I want you to check out this film, blah, 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 blah. Well, after months, he's like, all right, send over the film. He wound up really writing a fantastic review in Fangoria. The horror genre kind of fell into my lap because no sooner that happened, I wound up, which has nothing to do with Fangoria, just it's sort of like this new door opened. Penny Dreadful Picture Show happened, and I auditioned for them late at night. It was very last minute. They called me and said, they said, videotape yourself, and I said, no, I'm gonna drive over to you. Where are you? And they said Connecticut. I said, no, I want, if the director's gonna say yes or no to me, I want him to say it to my face, not on tape.
Yeah, let's put him on the spot. Let's make him really think about this. Do I want to make her cry?
Like that,
do I want her to cry in front of me?
Especially when there's a director involved, I want the director to see me. If the director's gonna love me or hate me, just say it to my face. I'll get over it either way. So that week, while I was driving to Connecticut to audition for Penny Dreadful, I wound up landing a very, very bit part in the true story Blue Caprice. The sniper shootings in D.C.?
Yes, I do.
Isaiah Washington is the lead actor in the film. French filmmaker Alexander Moores directed me, and I play one of the true victims that gets shot. So I was actually getting ready to walk on set when I had to audition for Penny.
Do you die in everything you do?
What?
I'm sorry. Do you die in everything you do? I'm starting to see a pattern here.
It's an inside joke with my dad. Every time I get a script or a film or I'm on set, I get a phone call or he looks at me and says, "Okay, so who are you killing or who's killing you?"
Okay, so at least I'm not the only one.
No. It's become an inside joke, especially in the family. So what I'm trying to say is that within these few months, which happened a year and a half ago, Blue Caprice happened, which is not a horror film, but it was a horrific situation that happened. It's a true story. And it's in theaters now, IFC theaters everywhere. And that was a wonderful experience to be on that set, especially being hooked up to squibs for the first time.
Ooh, that's kind of nerve-wracking too, isn't it? Because there's going to be an explosion happening on your body.
Yeah, well, especially the fact that
they actually make you worried too, don't they? Like, now I just want you to know, things could go wrong. But I'm the best in the industry, and I've never had anybody die. Now, the guy that taught me had 3 people that were like maimed for life, but I learned from his mistakes as he's hooking this stuff up to you.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I was very naive to it because I was in my trailer and these 2 guys that look like they come from an AC/DC band walked right up to me and they're like, "Hey, we're the Detonator dudes." And I'm like, "Oh, great, nice to meet you." And I swear to God, I put my head down. I had no idea what they meant, and I was like playing my Sudoku game. And they were like, "Are you Alexis, the actress?" I'm like, "Yes." They're like, "Right, we need to hook you up because we have to explode you in 15 minutes." I'm like,
explode me?
I'm like, "Excuse me, what?" They're like, "You play the victim, aren't you? We're hooking you up to squibs." I'm like, No, you just hooked me up to like ketchup pellets, right? You just explode me with ketchup. I swear to God, that's exactly what I said. I really thought like they were going to put little ketchup pellets on me. And the rest is history.
Well, that's because that comes from the theater, right?
Takes in 4 takes, and I did, and I exploded, and I survived, but I asked them like right before the first take, I'm like, "So are you counting, or is it going to be like 1, 2, 3, and then you explode me?" And I swear to God, they looked at me and they said, "We're not telling."
Yeah, because that is their favorite thing. They've got side bets and everything. They're like,
yeah,
you like, all right, dude, I got $5. She's gonna cry the first time we do this. We're gonna do 10 takes, right? We're gonna do 10 takes. So
and the reaction shot was all it takes. They were true to story. And when you see Blue Caprice, I am one of the victims that do get shot. And so yeah, so. Yes, no, I'm not a horror scream queen. It just sort of happened, and because of Penny Dreadful, I met Devaney, and because of Devaney, I'm in the Black Dahlia Haunting, and because of that family and friends, they cast me again in the up-and-coming Dead Sea film, Creature Feature. I play a marine biologist that has to visit this town, and because all these fish are dying. So Britt is in the film, James Duval, who is from Independence Day and Donnie Darko. He's in the film. Brandon Slagle directed again. Devaney Pinn's in it, and I get to work with all these people again. We just wrapped it. So, yeah, it's this, even though Creature Feature is not a horror film, it's, you get the creature nibbling on some people, which is sort of fun. But yeah, it sort of fell into my lap, and because of that, I wound up becoming friends with Chris Alexander, and he's such a dear friend of mine. He had this a wonderful idea and said, why don't you on occasion write stories on sets? Since the horror genre kind of fell into your lap, why don't you as an actor write about stories, and I can put it online or hopefully publish it in the magazine. And I do. I'm now, I can honestly say that I'm a contributing writer for Fangoria magazine. I write under my name, and I also write under a pen name. And I just interviewed Cody Blue Snyder, who is Dee Snyder's son from Twisted Sister.
Right.
And he did a wonderful short film called Fool's Day. And I had the wonderful experience and opportunity to sit with him and interview him. And the article is going to be published in Fangoria magazine as of December. So I'm very proud and very happy on how these doors open because of the horror genre. But at the end of the day, no, you can't call me a scream queen. Devaney Pinn is definitely a scream queen.
You realize you're heading down that road, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing. And I think you're beginning to see that there is a diehard network of fans in the horror genre that when they latch onto you and love you, that it can become your career, and it can also become your downfall, because they're the big money, or not that. That's being a theater actress. I'm guessing that to become independently, rich and wealthy and having multiple homes all over the world, of course, who doesn't want that, is not necessarily your number one goal. You love the craft. Yep. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't just keep working for pennies or scale or whatever it's called. And but as you see that the horror fans, the fans of these scary movies and stuff are diehard fans, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very dedicated, for sure.
And when they like you, and maybe too much. It might be creepy, might be awesome.
Look, I'm not. See, I'm very. I'm now. I can't use the term that I'm naive anymore, so I'm sort of getting it, but I'm always a little naive to it, especially to the heart, because you have to understand. because of the video game world, I'm also very exposed to the geek world, and that world is very fun. Like, they're innocent. I have met grown men scream when they find out I'm the goblin voice. It's very weird, but it's very charming.
That's funny. That I can actually. I was actually running that through my head when you said that. I was like, I wonder what these guys would think when they're playing Call of Duty and they realize that the film that they were just like all like. I'm not going to go into details of freaking out about how hot the Black Dahlia is and blah blah blah, and they realize that they're just got freaking owned by Alexis, and they're like, oh my god, like, of course you probably don't let that out of the bag when you're online, but at the same time, I think I would every now and then. like well, the Black Dahlia just spanked you, bitch.
Yeah. But it's such a different
you probably
response.
Don't refer to yourself like that very often.
Because the geek response, and I don't mean to say geek as in a derogatory.
No, it's actually an endearing. Geek and nerd is become endearing and not derogatory so much anymore.
Yeah,
I'm actually Gen X Nerd is my name on Twitter.
Geeks are cute. Little nerds are cute. I'm down for that. But then you get the horror people, which I'm very grateful. They've been wonderful with Dahlia and everything, but. It's a whole. They're very dedicated. That's all I can say. And sometimes it can be a little. Interesting. But so far nothing. Knock on wood. Nothing too creepy. But I have my feelers up when I go to the horror conventions.
Well,
on
what
occasion.
freaked me out, and I will say, ladies and gentlemen at home, the way we made our connection was. I was at Days of the Dead Indy, and I went to that show and did something that I think, I know from talking to people, but I blew people's minds there. I set up a table with literally radio studio, like recording studio, like a radio station quality microphones and mixer and computers and stuff, and sat down and did interview after interview after interview after Leslie Easterbrook, Tyler Main, Danny Trejo, Keith David. Now, keep in mind, I was right outside. Even though we had press passes, I didn't set up inside the convention. I was right outside of the convention by the main hallway to the hotel, and did one after another. I mean, it was surreal. And at the end of the night on Sunday, when everything was shut down, Harry Bean of all people, walks up to me and he's like, "Hey, would you like to?" He's like, "Have you ever heard of the Black Dahlia Haunting?" And all I had ever heard of was Black Dahlia. I was like, "Yeah, of course I have." Apparently, it had showed there. I didn't get to see it because I was too busy doing interviews and stuff. And anyways, he's like, "Oh, well, here's her phone number." I was like, "What? Like, you can't just..." And he's like, "Well, here, let me call her first, make sure it's all right." And he calls you, and you're like, yeah, give it to him. And I'm like, I had no idea who you were at that moment. No offense, but I'm like, that just doesn't seem safe. And I texted you because I couldn't just cold call you like, Hi, Alexis. I was at a horror convention and somebody gave me your number. Right. I couldn't do it. I just didn't feel right about it. And so I texted you, and you are by far the most warming person. Almost like this is fake. This is some like big, slovenly dude in a recliner with 15 computers around him, and right. This is totally fake. Harry Bean, he's totally set me up. Nope, here you are. Anyways, so you're not a Scream Queen yet. The future will tell us if that becomes what you will be, and only if you want it to be such a thing. But so you're writing for Fangoria, which it's kind of hard. You're making those contacts there.
Yeah.
You've appeared in these other films. What do you think the future holds for you? What you had mentioned before we went live here, and not that you already spent a lot of time in LA. I, for whatever reason, assumed you were in LA because probably you are a lot of times. So I'm like, oh, well, I figured that you had a 3-hour difference, just like a lot of the people I talk to. And but anyway, so you're going out there and you're gonna give it your all, aren't you?
Yes.
You're attacking this. I mean, Tuesday might. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Do you think that? That once an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 million people watch your movie in a week with you on the cover of it, that you're not going to be able to walk down the street anymore?
No, I don't think I'm going to be that recognizable as of yet. In the horror world, perhaps. But I think I might be. Well, I don't know if
you realize Johnny Depp was in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Dahlia is going to be on the buses, on the LA buses, the poster. So who knows? But no, I embrace LA. I love LA. Do I plan on tackling it? Yes, but I'm also very realistic. Work gets me other work. Like I said, nothing more important to me is being introduced and becoming friends with new people and in all different genres. If horror and psychological genre is the way to go, then fantastic. The film noir is back. All these old type films and TV shows are back, and I was talking to my commercial agent Tracy Mapes today, and I said, "There's room for me. There's room for all of us. There's room for new faces." And I said, I feel just very, I just feel very good. Not every day is going to be like I said, an audition red carpet day, and there's. Like I said before, if I'm going to struggle or have a bad day, I want it to be in LA. LA makes me happy. I love New York. It resurges me. It's my roots. I'm not knocking it. But right now, this time in my life, I am ready for LA, and I am going to tackle it. And yes, there's room for me. There's room for movies like Dahlia. There's room for the Brandon Slagels that are directing and the Devaney Pins, and we're all working very hard. And I just enjoy the roles that are given to me, and I'm very happy right now.
Well, something I would like to see happen, and I do this. This is my own fantasy things in my head, but I would like to see you work with the Soska sisters.
What? Who are they?
You don't know American Mary, Dead Hooker in a Trunk, the twins, Jen and Sylvia Soska.
See, here's the thing about me. And Devaney makes fun of me. I'm in horror films and I write for a horror magazine. I'm sorry. I'm a contributing writer for a horror magazine. I don't know much about horror.
It's you know what? Okay, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. No, you know why? Because when we get off of here, you're going to Google the Soska sisters and you're going to be like, wow. These two women are empowering to other women. How many women? I mean, there aren't very many women writer and directors, right?
Right.
Let alone twins.
Okay.
And they, a Dead Hooker in a Trunk, very low budget. They are the stars of it, and it is kind of what you think, Dead Hooker in a Trunk. And it's one of those. It's one of those movies that it starts getting out of hand. Keeps getting worse. The situation starts off bad, and then they just keep making it worse and worse and worse, and it keeps falling down and to the point of ridiculousness. Right? American Mary they wrote it, they directed it. They had a budget, and it's a beautiful movie. Wildly out there, but. I mean, yeah, they are the only twins, and that does make them unique. But they are women, and they are female writer and directors, and that I started really thinking about that. And in any genre, Penny Marshall is the only other like famous female director that I can think of. I mean, right. and you obviously you had mentioned one. I know that they exist, but they talk about a man's dominated market, right, or dominated a role, which is wrong. We need that, especially in horror, because women bring different tone to horror, where it's horror, but it's much possibly worse, dirtier, nastier, or creepier.
Because men are they think things through with their brain and not their intuition.
Yeah,
whereas
with their
women,
crotch
we
and
have
not
that ability.
It's the screaming woman topless running, and somebody's going to stab her to death, instead of like actually developing why that's happening, and the fact that boobs aren't necessarily needed to make that a absolutely horrifying scene.
Right, absolutely, and that's I think that's my not block, but I stop when you or people say, "Oh, are you the next Scream Queen?" Because people have this I don't know if it's a fantasy or a vision of, as soon as you hear Scream Queen, you think bad acting, stupid actress running through the woods.
Oh, see, I don't think that at all. Oh, I don't think that at all. When I think
a lot of people do, and I don't like saying stupid actress. I should take that back. I don't mean it that way. I'm not trying to make fun of actors that do that, because those films are fun. But a lot of these people, a lot of fans especially, or people assume that Scream Queen is, oh my God, my bra is on, and I'm running in the woods,
the
and
bimbo,
like
that Jason Voorhees is going to stab to death. Yeah,
it's not really that per se. I mean, there's those films, there's those
Heather Langenkamp
gory films.
When I think Scream Queen, and even though she's probably not technically a Scream Queen, I guess that's probably a horrible term to use. But Heather Langenkamp is probably my favorite horror actress. Right. Alexis Iacono, or jeez, Catherine Isabel is quickly becoming like another one that I've been watching that is really been quite amazing. She's been in some really good. She's the main actress in American Mary with the Soska sisters, but she's smart and she's witty and she's a great actress, and it's not about being this sexy diva that then happens to have a situation. It's Heather Langenkamp. She's the hero. Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. She ends up being the hero. And that's what I like. I guess I shouldn't. I guess I would never consider Heather Langenkamp a Scream Queen, but she does scream a lot. And that's kind of part of it. But she doesn't die.
And in my films, in Penny and Dahlia, in I don't know, Prescott Place, I really don't scream. I mean, the Dahlia is more of a torture scream. Right. It's not this high pitched crazy scream. So, I don't know. I have no label on me at the end of the day.
Labels are bad anyway. That's my bad. I brought that up. To be honest with you, I don't even know if I've ever said Scream. Out of almost 100 episodes that I've done, I don't know if I've ever even said Scream Queen. We've never done a show on them, but maybe we should. Maybe I need to educate myself on what that definition really is. Then I'll get back with you and be like, I am so sorry, Alexis. I insult, like, that was just, what was I thinking? I might as well just called you like a bimbo cheerleader, like I didn't like I
well, we
insulted
need
you.
Bimbo cheerleaders. There's nothing wrong with them either.
Yeah, well, hey, a job's a job,
and
right?
actually, speaking of cheerleader, I get to have a little fun with a cheerleader in Penny Dreadful Picture Show. It's the horror anthology.
That looks like a really fun movie, and I searched for it to buy streaming or anything else, and I couldn't find it.
It's in as of today. It's in Walmart's, and you're gonna get to see. You can buy them in Walmart's, and Lee Scott's the director. Eliza Swenson is Penny Dreadful. She's a fine actress. She does a great job. And she also directed one of the vignettes. And what it is, it's a horror anthology. And the horror anthology that I'm in is called The Slaughterhouse. And I had the opportunity to work with Sid Haig and Jeffrey Combs in our vignette. And I play awesome. Nancy. It's a very 1970s exploitation.
Oh,
type
so you have to have Sid Haig in it, just like the Big Birdcage. You can't, or the is that the one that he was in? Or was it the Big Birdcage or? He was in one of the Corwin films that was just he was so awesome in it. He's been in a million things.
You mean Sid Haig?
Yeah, Sid Haig.
He was Captain Spaulding.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm talking about his 70s exploitation. He was in the exploitation films in the 70s.
Yeah.
which is so he's obviously a natural choice for a retro 70s exploitation film.
Yeah, and I got to see him. We reconnected at Days of the Dead in Los Angeles, and I'm speaking for myself. I don't know what he would say about me, but I know that on set and our downtime, because we all got hooked up at the same hotel, we bonded, and Sid is someone very special to my heart. I actually enjoy Sid very, very much, and he was just a dream to work with, and And so it's this Manson type, vibey feeling, and my character gets a little upset with a cheerleader, so I have to do something about it.
Hey, I'm sure she had it coming to her.
She had it coming.
Yeah, I'm sure she did.
And just, Lee was very smart. There were some scenes that were edited, but it could have been rated X, my scene, because there were a lot of stuff that was done. Let me put it this way: I would have put Malcolm McDowell to shame in A Clockwork Orange. That's how bad the scenes were.
I just got to recently meet him and talk to him. I didn't get to interview him, but I did go to his panel and recorded his panel. But I did get to have like a 15-minute conversation with him. He is awesome. He's besides like what he did back in the day, he doesn't watch any of his movies.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, A Clockwork Orange was on the other night, and
I know. Yeah, I saw you, and I almost linked the episode we did on Clockwork Orange. I was like, nah. I do that every now and then, but I was like, no, I'll leave you alone. But yeah, honestly, I was watching at the same time as on IFC. Yep. Yeah. I swear to God, my wife thinks that they watch the shows that are the movies, because we've never seen it on television ever, like that has ever been on even pay channels, and she thinks that there's somebody that watches, because I do some pretty out there kind of things. Not that Clockwork Orange is that out there, but it's not common to ever be shown on the air that somebody's watching what I'm covering and then like putting it out there. And like I told her, I was like, good. Like, good for them, because maybe their channel will be better. Maybe people will pay more attention to them if they're actually showing good stuff.
Right.
Not everything that I cover is good, but usually I try to cover stuff that I enjoy, not that it's good. Well, Alexis, we are getting close to the hour mark, and so you've got some you're moving to LA. You've got stars in your eyes. Yeah, like you're going out there. You're going to put it all on the line, and I understand that. Like you have to follow your dream no matter what. You can't stop. You can't give up, because the moment that you think you're going to give up, that you can't take it anymore, and you persevere and push through it, is when that break comes. At least, I mean, it just seems like that's what's happened with me. Is like when I'm like, oh man, like it's stagnant. This isn't going anywhere. But I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to put everything into it, and then boom, it pays off. And then I'm just blown away by something. Not that my podcasting career is equal to your acting career, but it's still the same thing. Is you're following your passion and you can't give up on it. And I can't wait. I really think that that this Black Dahlia Haunting, and I haven't seen it, so I don't know how much screen time you have but you are the Black Dahlia in it, and that has to be, I think that's going to open up a lot of doors for you.
Well, I don't want to say, oh, I hope so. I just, like I said, work gets me other work. That's all I'm going to say. I'm like I said, I try my best to be very realistic and positive, but being realistic, especially in this industry, is very important, even though it's fun to have some stars in your eyes. But yes, I think Dahlia, like I said to Devaney a while ago, Dahlia for all of us is what I call a launch pad, and it just, who knows where it's going to take us, but it did get us Dead Sea, the new film that's coming out, and that is going to be a lot of fun. We are very proud of that film, and I'm very proud of the work. I've seen some of the dailies and whatnot, and so yeah, work gets me other work, and I just now, not to sound greedy, but I want to see some more money. I'd like to see some money. I'd like to pay my parents' mortgage. That's what I would like to do.
Oh yeah, well, I don't blame you, and I feel like that it's all paid off, like finally, like you've made it, right?
Yeah. To me, I mean, it sounds really silly. Who knows what other people's, some people think,
would you do
fame
TV?
And what being chased down the street is fame and being successful. That, to me, that's great. I mean, it's nice, a little stroke of the ego. But for me, success is I feel successful now. I just want to do bigger and, not better things, but yeah, better things.
Would you do a sitcom?
I'm sorry?
If you had the chance, would you do a sitcom?
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
you would do so. Look, you would have no problem doing television.
I understand now the term why actors are called whores and hookers, because they say no, like they never say no, and I kind of get that because I'm that person that, I don't want this to come off in a cocky or an arrogant way, but I feel I can do it all. I've done it all. I've done theater, and I have to thank, not to go back to it, but thanks to theater, there is that sense of confidence that is embedded in me forever.
And that is something that's missing in, I think, a lot of actors and actresses nowadays is because you went up on stage live where if somebody messed up, you had to improvise, and the show, you can't stop. You can't go, cut. All right, let's do this again. It has to continue on, and it has to be fluid. You have to make it seem like it was supposed to be that way. Oh,
and vice versa. There are times where I had to pick up for an actor, and there are times and it had nothing to do with me being stage fright. I'm in my game. I'm in my element, and there are times I have blanked out.
Oh, wow. And
I'm on stage, and I pick it up by doing some improv, and we all work together. And to me, that is the best work that I do.
And that lays a foundation down for everything else. It really does. It really, and I guess because I haven't done it, but I can see it as the outside looking in. Once you can put on that stage show and pull it off night after night after night, way a lot of the theater will be, or every other night or however it happens to be. That's impressive. So to be able to go and actually be able to retake a scene and do it, as long as you can get past the do it again. Like, how many times do we have to pour all this blood over me? Whatever, the most miserable thing you could think of is to do over and over again. Then they want to do it 100 times.
Yeah.
But I think that's. I just hope. I hope you remember me when you're starring in that big summer blockbuster, and you're like, hey, that's that Lewis guy. Yeah, he was my friend on Facebook before I had to have 3 accounts because they all filled up to 5,000 overnight. And like, oh, well, I don't normally do interviews again, but I'll go give him a half hour, just for nostalgic sake, right?
Harry Bean introduced us, and Harry is another one. He's very special to me, and he has a daughter by the name of Alexis, so that pretty much is set in stone. But Harry and I met at Days of the Dead, and he really took care of us in Los Angeles, and same with Bill Philpott, who is the head of Days of the Dead.
Oh, yeah.
And Jab Films and everyone there.
Oh, yeah, Jab. I'm actually interviewing him Thursday.
Who?
Jab.
Oh, Jab is fantastic. They've that whole entire group of people in Days of the Dead.
I'm friends. I've become friends with all of them.
That's no joke. I mean, if you can get into Days of the Dead, you're pretty much set. Those cons, those horror cons are amazingly huge, and for them to embrace Dahlia and us personally, we're very grateful. So. We're hoping to have more of our films be seen and have a table there at Days of the Dead in the future. And thanks to, like I said, Bill and Harry Bean, they've been from the get-go. They've been so supportive of Dahlia, and we will never forget that.
Well, awesome. And I am actually I'm working my way. I'm weaving my way into the. I've been to many of the shows, and. Yeah, we'll talk about that more off the air. But
absolutely.
Anything else you'd like to say? Do you have a website, or do you have a way for people to find you? Besides your actual personal...
You can find me on Twitter at Alexis Iacono, Alexis Iacono. Also Facebook. But I don't have a website. I don't know. I'm so weird with social networking. I mean, I'm totally for it. Hit me up, email me, say hi, poke me, do what you got to do. I'll poke you back.
Right. And if you ever want somebody to do your social networking for you,
you can check me out on the IMDb. There's a lot of stuff that's not in the IMDb that I didn't list or people didn't list for what reason. I'm very. It's weird.
That.
I like to talk. I love interviews, but then there are points where I'm just like, oh, I'm just tired of putting stuff up there. People either know who I am or they don't.
Right,
I go through those phases of
See, I never realized that you actually have to put that up there yourself,
and
don't you?
Facebook, and drop me a line, hit me up. and I'll be sure to hopefully respond and retweet and email you.
Well, excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Alexis. It was great having you, and you really spruced the place up a bit.
Thanks.
It's nice to have a pretty voice on the air every now and then.
Thank you very much. And real quick, I'm sorry, a quick plug for Dahlia.
Absolutely.
Go to Facebook, the Black Dahlia Haunting, and at Dahlia Haunting on Twitter for sure, and absolutely hit them up as well.
And all these links, I will make sure that I have all the links for Black Dahlia, for Alexis, and all that kind of stuff on the website, traumaticcinematic.com. And folks, yeah, exactly, traumaticcinematic.com, and you can also find us at TC Podcast Crew on Twitter. That's it, folks. Have a great night. I'm on the internet.